So welcome to Basic Tree Inspection. I'm Islam. The idea of this course is to give you an understanding of what to look for when you're looking at trees. So why would you inspect trees? There are a few different reasons why you may want to do so. One would be the condition, to see if it's healthy and if its structure has integrity. So if there are cracks or if there's an outbreak of something that's eating all the leaves, for example, and it's in a poor health. There's also whether it's a hazard or not. So whether it poses a risk to persons or property. Also around construction work and during planning. So if you want to assess which trees are of what condition and of what sort. So if they're rare trees and if they've been around for a long time and they're going to be around for a long time, then you want to prioritize keeping those where you're going to be building on a development scheme or where there's construction going on. Then you want to protect those trees. So you want to know a little bit about, what condition they're in, what environment they're in, and you want to protect that environment and you want to make sure that their health and their structure is not damaged. Another aspect is with regards to when trees are next to existing structures and you want to make sure that they're not damaging the structures or the structures damaging them. So if the trees need pruning, for example, because the branches are touching tiles on the roof of a house, for example, so you might want to prune those and you want to inspect the tree for that. So finally, for habitats. In many cases, in old trees, you will have habitats, and sometimes you want to be looking for what's in that habitat. So whether it's bats or some birds or maybe some sort of lizards or things like that, you might be looking for those, for example, also on a development scheme. So if people are saying, oh, we're going to need to remove those trees, and actually there's this rare critically endangered species that's living in the trees, then you want to check if those are there or not. Or you may just want to provide a habitat for those species, and you want to see, do you already have some, or should you be creating more habitats for them? So this course isn't focused on construction, habitats, or structures. It's focused mainly on the condition of trees and the risks that they could potentially pose. So the idea is that proactive management is better in the long term, as it reduces the stress to the trees and it helps in budgeting and reduces incidents. So basically you're assessing and you're identifying the issues before they're happening. So you're reducing the chance of big branches landing on people or property or things like that. You're making sure that there's less damage to the people, but also to the trees, because if you reduce those risks, then you're often reducing the amount of damage that will occur to the trees. And so in the long term, the trees will be around for a much longer period. So you'll be benefiting from those trees for a much longer period as well. So the goals of this course are to recognize hazardous trees, to collect and maintain adequate information on those trees if required, to determine the level of risk, so whether you should act on it or not, or whether there is any risk at all, to recognize your own limitations. Like sometimes there are things that are not obvious to the beginning tree inspector, for example, and you might need to refer to other people. And finally, to decide on a course of action that is appropriate for the result that you're finding. So this course is mainly to raise awareness rather than replacing professional credentials or expertise. It's mostly, frankly, to get people looking up into trees. So there are a lot of people that walk by, trees with big dead branches every day, and they walk under those trees and they don't even notice it. So it's both, and I'll speak about this more later on, but it's both to look at them from an active point of view and also from a passive point of view. So just when you're, doing your day-to-day or other work. So in that sense, this course is for groundskeepers, landscapers, gardeners, people working around trees, and anyone interested in trees. There's no prerequisite knowledge that's actually required, but I do recommend that you go through the basic pruning, whether it's out already or not. It will be coming out very soon if it's not. And it's, as I said before, for active and passive inspections.